Welcome to today's video. So this time we'll be taking a look through the next batch of vintage Great Pan paperbacks. I've got a fantastic selection once again for you, and that's what we're going to be tackling today. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay, starting off with Great Pan number 270, Angel of Terror, Edgar Wallace here. And let's just take a look at the date on this, 1959. So I would imagine all of these are going to be 1959, 1960, 61, that sort of period. And that's actually a really nice copy of that one. I did get to buy a little run of Edgar Wallace about a year and a half ago. And it was a massive vintage Edgar Wallace collection. And they were all in really nice nick. They'd all sort of been bought from brand new. And the chap had really looked after them, so I was able to upgrade quite a few of my Edgar Wallace books. That one double signed, so that's no good. Can't do anything with that in ink. Boney Buys a Woman. Yeah. I think we'll slide a little bit of glue in the bottom there. So, update on the work situation and the situation on the channel. So, good news, first of all, is that although my job is changing at work, so I'm going to be doing something a little bit different to what I have been doing, once I've got through the initial training period, which is, we don't know how long that's going to be yet, but best estimate is it's going to be about a month. Once that's done, so during the training I'm going to have to go back to full-time, but once that's done I can revert back to my part-time hours, and I can stay on the part-time hours permanently. So it won't be as I am now, where I'm sort of renewing it every 3 months. I'm going to permanently be able to stay doing 30 hours a week instead of full-time, which gives me that extra day across the week to be able to do some filming, because a video like this one that we're doing here today takes at least half a day to get the stuff out initially, then to get it set up, get it filmed, and then of course edited. So it's at least half a day, and I've got the other commitments on the other channel as well, so it is actually fantastic news. So for the time being, even though the views on this channel are down, I'm going to stick with it and try and still do a video a week, because I did have a few people comment and say, I really do hope you keep these going, and I will. I think it's quite nice to have them on a separate channel rather than in my sort of lost amongst the mix of my main channel. But we'll just see. The jury's out, but hopefully things will start to improve. YouTube is very much a roller coaster sometimes, and you can have sort of highs and lows. And at this time of year, traditionally, most channels are in a bit of a low. Revenue is usually very low, or much lower than other times of the year, because advertisers, people are feeling the pinch after Christmas, and their advertisers know this, so they don't bother spending big money on advertising. But even so, we are coming out of this at the other end now. We're almost into March, and things start to go back to normal then. So fingers crossed that's going to be the way it is. But I have noticed a few other channels have started mentioning that their views have suddenly dropped off a cliff, and some of them really big, over 1 million subscriber channels have massive impacts to their views, and it's really bizarre to see. My other channel, my main one, doesn't seem that affected, but this one, I'd say the views have probably halved. So I don't know, maybe people are just getting a bit bored with the content. I hope not, but even so, I was going to be cleaning all these books up anyway, so I might as well film the process. It's quite funny that because I go back and I film every single book in my collection in the correct order, sometimes if I'm out and about and I'm not sure what condition my particular copy of a book is, I'll go back to one of these videos and refer to it. And then I know if I've come across an upgrade or not. So they serve multiple purposes. Now, as I film this, I was at the Matford Toy Fair last Sunday, which was fantastic. Got to meet a friend of mine called Dave. He runs the channel at Toy Ploy. He's a toy restorer. And we've been friends for about a decade, but we've never actually met. We were due to meet multiple times, and the pandemic came along. Then his house was hit with really severe power cuts, so he couldn't get away, and he had a few family things happen as well. So it was great to finally meet up, and that was good. It wasn't a bad toy fair in a new location, so that was pretty cool. And I'm going to try and do a few more of those. But next Monday, and I'm filming this on the Wednesday, and you should be seeing it on the Saturday if you watch it as it's come out. But next Monday, I'm off to Dorset, and I'll be filming a video with the Outlaw Bookseller, my friend Steve, and we're going to be filming a really fantastic science fiction collection. So the chap we're going to meet, Robert, he's got a really great classic science fiction collection, lots of hardbacks and paperbacks, but he also sells as well. Now, he doesn't really have a website. You sort of send him a wants list via email, and I'm going to be filming his impressive stock as well, which I've seen a little bit of, and it's just incredibly well presented. I mean, fantastic. So I cannot wait to go up there on Monday and film that one. So it's going to be quite an early start, but I love going out and filming these sorts of collections on the road. It's brilliant. And when you look back on the year, it's nice to sort of look back at all the places you have been, and hopefully I'll have footage as well, plenty of footage, and an interview with the chap to share with you. So there's a few things that are coming up on the other channel. Most of these turn out to be not too bad at the moment, but we have got quite a few to get through. Now that is ink on that. I'm not going to be able to rub that one off. Some absolutely great covers here, which I hope you're enjoying. But this was one of my all-time favourite periods for Pan books. The Penguin as well, in fact. It's just, there was something about the books were quite simplistically made, but they've got beautiful cover art, and they're just great reads. I mean, just the stuff that was coming out, you know. I remember having a real job finding a nice one of this, and mine's still got a crease along there. It was a huge hit, this one, an Audrey Hepburn film, and it's got that lovely cover by Heth. But it turns up quite frequently, but it's, I think, a harder one to find in first edition, which I like to have if possible, you know. Although with Pan, I have started picking up later editions if they've got slightly different covers, you know, slight cover variations. Like, I need more copies of the same book, let's be honest. A Room in Moscow, photograph cover. Now this one's got a little ding down the bottom of the spine there, so we'll sort that out in just a second. But yeah, so thank you for the people who did comment and say they would hate to see the channel go. I know some people are playing catch up, so they wouldn't have heard that video yet or watched that video just yet to see what was happening. But you know, it's an ongoing story. The main thing is work have been incredibly good, I think, about it. You know, we're having to move departments and change our jobs slightly, but still with the same company, so I'm not losing my job or anything. But it is quite skilled, and we're just sort of changing the role we do within that job, you know. So there we are, and that's fine. And the fact that I'm now be able to do part-time all the time without having to and stay with my current team as well. I don't need to move different teams or anything. Indefinitely is really great news. So I'm so pleased about that, because it means I can keep YouTubing and keep making the videos. It would have been very difficult to do, trying to do full-time hours at my normal work as well. There just isn't enough hours in the day to do it. There we are. Now this is one of those ones that has got 2 layers, because I've glued the first bit down, but then there's also that corner. So I want to pop a tiny bit in that corner, because it's like 2-ply in effect. I'll pop a little bit of glue in there on the top. There we are. So that'll stop that getting any worse. It's a little bit of worn because that's been like that obviously for decades. So let's not forget, the age of these books, is this 59, 60? Let's have a look here. 1959, I mean, we are talking 64 years old, so we have to bear that in mind a little bit. So let's put that pile over there. Start a new pile. Eliza Callahan, quite a worn one here. This is probably one that was picked up in a jumble sale or something like that. Not the greatest of condition, but it's all there. But not a lot I can do sort of repair wise, except in a minute we'll give these all a brush and a polish. The Saints Getaway, this looks like it's already been glued down. I've found with the Saint books, they either turn up absolutely mint or they're hammered, and this is sadly one of the hammered ones. This has obviously been read and read. It's very faded and brittle as well. So this is the first one I've seen today that I absolutely want to pop on my upgrade list. So it's the Saints Getaway G294. Obviously Leslie Charteris. It's even got a 40p inside. So yeah, real chatty copy of this one. But it will do as a placeholder until a better one comes along. Young Renee, one of their romance ones. Maza de la Roche. And this is interesting because it's the new edition, so first published in Pan 1948. Had a couple of reprints, then it was the new edition for 1959, and it was reset and it would have had a new jacket as well. So that's why this one's in this run, and it's also the first time it would have been given that number. Now this next one is one of my all-time favourite Pan covers. It's Great Pan number 300, To Love and Be Wise. It's a PEF cover, absolutely stonking. I've actually got two copies of it, one with a sticker and one without. This one here with the sticker, as you can see, it's absolutely mint. It's a really nice copy. Beautiful book. Let's see what printing this one is. Yeah, this is the 4th printing. I believe this will be this should be the first printing. Yeah, this is the first reset again from 1959. What an absolutely gorgeous cover that is, isn't it? That really is quite terrific, that one. Lovely. Yeah, one of my all-time favourites for sure. Erskine Caldwell. Lovely. The Wild Place. Oh, blimey. This has got big ink stain in the top corner there. Very foxed on the edges. It's a first, but it's a first in a terrible old state. So once again, I'm going to pop this one on the upgrade list. It looks like G10. I'm tempted to say G102, The Wild Place. Catherine Holm. Upgrade required. Valley of Ghosts, another one of those Edgar Wallace ones. Nice vivid cover there. G303. See, this came from that collection. It's so much softer and supple, the pages, than that last one we saw. And as I said, these all came from one collection, and I really did well picking them up over a few weeks as the chap was digging them all out. I was buying them in little batches, and it's fantastic. Cottrell, we did a few historical ones for Pan. Lost Cities. The Man in Charge. Who was the man in charge? I think this is quite a common one, but quite hard to find in nice condition again. Small woman. It's just sort of coming away at the bottom of the spine there, so I'm going to once again slide a little bit of Pritt stick in into the offending area. Actually, it's as I pulled that, it's come away quite a bit, so I'll put a bit more of a splurge in. Make sure it's fully glued in. There we are. I think that will do it. That should do the trick. Yeah. Make sure that's fully pressed down. Another nice Pef cover there. He's definitely my favourite pan artist. My Years with Churchill. It's an intimate portrait by his valet. It seems Churchill was such a celebrity that anyone who had anything to do with him on a daily basis felt it their right to put a book together, you know. Right, a little bit of pencil there, a little 50p, which we can get out. And there's a little 10 underneath, which we can't. Okay. I wasn't sure what that was, but it was like a bit of old spider's web or something like that had been trapped inside the book. There we are, that's about as good as we're going to get that one. The Seat of the Scornful, John Dixon Carr. He's an author I've not read anything like as much as I wish I had. But I know he's definitely got his fans. Fortune is My Enemy. Wartime one. Let's get a little 69 in. 69p. Very, very fragile corner, that one, so we'll leave it there. I don't want to overdo it, but it's got the 69p out, which is the main thing. But yeah, not the greatest of copies, that one. I reckon that's sort of come from a charity shop or something similar, that one, over the years. The Devil to Pay. When Queen was King. 1960 now. Let's slide that pile over there. Georgette Hare. A full-blooded romantic thriller. Wow. Okay. Got a little 10 in the corner there. No doubt 10 pence, 10p. I'm guessing. Pillars of Night, Ellison Trevor. So it's looking a little bit worn. Yes, this one's quite worn compared to the others. I think we'll pop that one on the upgrade list as well. So G313. Pillars of Midnight, Ellison Trevor. Arnhem. Big operation during the Second World War. Nice copy of that one. That's a nice cover as well, isn't it? That Peter Cheney. Who's the cover artist? It doesn't say. Oh yes, it does, very, very faint. It's a Pef. Yeah, should have guessed. That's probably his wife Kitty there, modelling on the front. She modelled for loads of his book jackets. That was actually a reprint from 1961, so I'm not sure if that's the true first of that one. There's a tiny little bit of corner, so tiny little bit of the bottom of the spine there coming up. You see, these all seem to get caught in the same spot, don't they? These pans from this period. And we do see that books from different periods, when they've aged over the decades, they tend, the glue and stuff tends to sort of fade at an equal rate, and regardless of how well they've been stored in a lot of circumstances. But that's got that one done anyway. So yet another Edgar Wallace. He certainly was popular during this period with Pan, wasn't he? They pumped a few out. This is another reset edition. One thing we haven't seen this time round yet is any Agatha Christie's, is there? So not sure if there's any coming up. I try not to look. Oh, look at this, look at all this all scribbled on the back, so instantly into the upgrade list. So G319, I'm alright Jack. Upgrade required, Alan Hackney. So yeah, this is a very, very poor condition copy. Very much there on borrowed time, this one. So we'll yes, we shall pop this onto the upgrade list. I have found a dealer who's got a lot of Pan books, and he will give me a discount next time I visit. So I'm going to go along and I'm going to do some upgrades, because he's got so many Pans in his stock that he's got multiple copies, so you can really go through and find a few really nice upgrades. So I shall have my list handy next time I visit, which hopefully will be maybe April-ish time, I think. A real classic one, this one, Edgar Allan Poe. Nice copy of that one. I think I've had that one for a long time, actually, that particular one. Skin Coldwell. So it's really like what they would call tanned, but it's a nice sound copy, so I'm not going to be on the lookout for a better one. Finally, an Agatha Christie, Murder on the Links. It's a nice one as well. One of the all-time classics. This is the first Pan edition from 1960. Nice white pages on that. That's a very, very nice copy of that one. Not all my Christies are that nice. Call Me When the Cross Turns Over. Okay. Bit of a splash on the spine there. Not sure what that is, but it's come off with a little scratch of my fingernail. There we are. So that's okay. There was a bit, something covering up the number there. So we've scratched that off. And then obviously when it gets brushed and then polished, we'll be okay. That's a little insert. Because that's, once again, that's quite a nice copy of that one. Here's another gorgeous cover, and they were really knocking it out of the park. Gideon's Night, J.J. Marrick, 12 tense hours at Scotland Yard. What a gorgeous cover. Yeah, Gareth Peff again. He was in fine form, wasn't he? He really was. This was one of his dream periods. And this one, look, it's got a little mark there, 782. So I'm guessing that this one was read in July last read by the previous owner in July 1982. So we've got that little anomaly out to keep it as near to as published as possible, which is how I like them. I know some people say, well, why are you getting rid of all the names inside and the prices? Well, it's just how I am, really. This one's bagged up, and I'm going to unbag it because it's been bagged for years, but it wasn't cleaned before it went into a bag. And the reason it is bagged, of course, is because it is a signed PEF jacket. So this nice cover, this is one of the ones which is signed there in silver by the cover artist PEF, and to preserve it I've popped it in a bag. I met PEF in the early 90s, sort of about 92 I think, in London at a paperback show, and at the time I just went through my entire paperback collection. It was predominantly Pan, but I did have some digits as well, and I got all those, anything that I had which had his signature on, I took up with me, and he graciously signed them all, so very glad I got the chance to meet him. He's a really nice guy. Yeah, that one's alright. So yeah, once we've given that one a clean and a brush, I'll a polish rather, and a brush, I'll pop it back in the bag for safekeeping. Speaking of which, a friend of mine who produces plastic cases for carded action figures has produced some prototypes of paperback cases for different size books. We've got the A format and the larger B format as well, and they look really, really great. But as soon as I've got some of those to hand, I'm going to unbag my bagged ones and pop them in those really nice display cases, because they look great, and they're not massive, so they can still be filed with the books on the shelf. I think they're terrific, so I look forward to sharing those with you once they become available. But at the moment they're just in a prototype form. Lovely. Yep. One more pile to do here before we start the brushing. A Carter Dixon, Behind the Crimson Blind. Okay, The Big Bite. So, although we're not quite through them all yet, we haven't had any major repair work, have we? A few certainly that are on the lower end of the spectrum, which I'm going to upgrade. But on the whole, we've not done bad. Beautiful copy of that one, absolute beauty. I don't think it's even been read, that, or maybe read just the once. That's a nice John MacDonald, isn't it? John Ross MacDonald, The Doomsters. Interesting, you got the artwork and the photographs of the eyes. Adds sort of a level to it, doesn't it? That's interesting. It's got $1.10 inside. That's interesting. Of course, that doesn't mean it's American dollars. Of course, it could have come from Australia or New Zealand, where a lot of British books got exported to. The British editions, I mean, as well. I remember visiting New Zealand in about 1990, and I was amazed, going in the second-hand bookshops. First of all, 2/3 of the books for sale in the second-hand bookshops were hardbacks. That was the first thing. The second thing was everything was so cheap. But some of the stuff I found over there, wow. at the time, the collectible book market just wasn't anything like what it was at the time in Britain. And I was finding Ian Fleming first edition hardbacks. I found a first of The African Queen by C.S. Forrester in a beautiful wrapper. So wish I kept hold of that one. But I sold it when I got back, and it cost me like 25p. It was immaculate. Unlike that one. So that, on the face of it, seems absolutely fine, but it's so foxed inside. It really detracts from it. So I'm going to put it on the upgrade list. So G351, Rumour Godden, The Green Gage Summer. Yeah, it was quite an interesting trip, that, to New Zealand. Another Edgar Wallace here, Yellow Snake. This one should be fine because it's one I recognise, and I've had a few copies through my hands. So I think he should be absolutely fine. Yeah. Reckon from that same collection, I think, again. Patrick Quinton, Fatal Woman. That's another nice jacket, isn't it? I can't see the artist, so I don't think it's a PEF, but very nice with their sort of headline back like that. Yep, nice copy of that one. Another great action pose. I believe that looks like Taylor, although it doesn't seem to be signed, but yeah, great action one, that. A little bit of page edge browning, but it's generally okay. 1960 still. So all of these have been 1959, 1960. The Bachelor's Baby. Another Saint book. The Saint closes the case. So once again, a little bit of wear, so I'm going to re-glue that top of the spine there. Let's just flick through. As I said, the thing with the Saint books is they do get read and reread a lot because, you know, that's they were so popular. It's as simple as that, really. So we need to put a little bit of glue in that, just that top corner there of the spine. It's a pretty simple fix. And we've not had to do anything really extensive this week, have we? It's all been pretty straightforward repairs. That down. There we are. So you'd never really know that would come away, would you? And then the last one before we get brushing and polishing is this one. And this one's actually got some wear on here. It's a quite scarce one, I believe. It's like a non-fiction one about a rail crash, quite rare. So I'm going to pop this one on my list if it's not already. Red for Danger, G359, has another one to upgrade. Brilliant. Okie doke. So that's all the books gone through with a view to any running repairs done. Next thing we're going to need to do then is give them all a brush down, followed by a polish. Right, now for the mucky part is the polishing. But it has to be done. And some will be worse than others, of course. But we'll just work our way through, and then we'll give them all a good polish then at the end. So I have done now a couple of videos of my large format books, which I hope you've had a chance to see. So not paperbacks, but old large format books, annuals and making of books and things like that. and I think they've gone down okay. You know, people seem to like them. It's something a little bit different to paperbacks, and they're all part of the collection, so they all need doing eventually. And some of them have really benefited from having a good clean. So if you've not watched those yet, do please jump in. I'm going to be doing a large format sort of book stroke hardbacks video every other week now, and mix it in with paperbacks, then hardbacks, until that room's been completely done. But that's going to take some time, but that's how it's going to be going forward. And I think that's just a way of keeping things interesting and fresh. And also, it's nice to, because that's in the office, it's nice to see the progress in front of your eyes on a more regular basis. Plus, it's I'm looking at books that I haven't seen in ages, which is always good fun as well. So that's cool. So that's the first pile there. Let's get this second wedge, because the brushing, of course, doesn't take too long, but the polishing is a bit more of an involved process, isn't it? But it's all good. A lot of dust off that particular batch. I think it's some of these low grade ones. Sometimes, you know, they're going to be replaced eventually anyway, but it may be, even though they're on my upgrade list, it may be, you know, 2 or 3 years before I come across them, sometimes longer. So, you know, in the meantime, I want the books looking as good as I possibly can get them. Lovely. Of course, cleaning the large format books, they don't, at least they don't seem to have picked up anything like the same amount of dust and dirt that the paperbacks have. Probably because of the nature of the actual books themselves. So this is generating far more dust and dirt than I'm used to in recent weeks. But I think it is better just to do it all in one hit, then let the dust settle, and then I'll attack the polishing side of things. Good stuff. I'm all right, Jack. Lovely. Lovely copy of that Agatha Christie there. pile out now. Okay, so I'm going to give this last little batch a brush. Lovely. Right, so that's all the books given a darn good brushing. Next stage then is to get them all polished. Right then, so got my Mr. Sheen. This one's almost empty. It's all right at the moment, but it's getting there. And I've got a fairly clean bit of cloth here, so let's give that a get the corner all polished up. Soak that in a bit so we're ready to go. That's it. Right, let's get cleaning. Yeah, so I hope if you were worried about the future of the channel that I've put your mind at rest, at least for the time being. As I said, in the very worst case scenario, I would just stop doing cleaning videos on this channel and I'd move them over to the main one. But I just think I prefer to have them as separate entities at the moment, because not everyone's into the cleaning videos. But it is also a nice way to take a look at the book collection in a bit more detail sometimes. So anyway, for the time being, we are good over here until you hear otherwise. But yeah, do please keep watching, do please keep giving the videos the thumbs up, and if you are able to spread these out onto any form of social media, then please do, because it really does make a difference, particularly if you can get it on the Reddit groups. They seem to do very well. They're very, very popular. Not that this one needs much cleaning, it's absolute minter. And I will really keep mint books, so even if they're reprints, I will keep them, because particularly if they've got nice covers like that. I mean, that is just gobsmackingly good, isn't it? It's just gorgeous. If only they were all like that. But sadly, you would need a time machine for that, which, although I've got a lot of old stuff, I haven't actually got a time machine tucked away, sadly. So I've been in the office where the large format books are kept, and I've been having a look. So each episode of that I've just done sort of 10 Blue Peter annuals. So, and there's 40 in total. So the next one will have Blue Peter annuals 21 to 30. And then we'll be on to a mixture of other like British annuals and large format sort of books and making ofs and stuff like that. I like doing those videos. It's really been great to get the large format books out and also give them a bit of a sort at the same time. And many of them have never ever been shared on the channel, so it's all like brand new stuff, really. You know, I've never like filmed them for any video on either channel because it's like there's a lot of miscellaneous stuff, like miscellaneous film books and books on directors and books on film posters we've got coming up and things like that. I've got quite a big run of Star Wars books, large format books to do. I've got all the British annuals and the spin-offs and storybooks, and there's a lot of those, and I've got a big pile of Star Trek annuals to do as well, which maybe they would be worth doing all in one hit, like a dedicated video on those. That might be the way to go around them. I'll have to sort of play it by ear, but I'm sort of thinking I'll probably end up doing it that way. So it's a bit more themed, but we'll see. I sort of quite like the mixed up way that we're doing it at the moment, in all honesty. It's quite a grubby one, but I hope it's come up okay. So this is always the last sort of step of the process, isn't it, the polishing? And we know it's as good as we can possibly get it inside, so it's just a case of can we take off any of the surface marks. And sometimes they come off really easily, other times they just, nothing we can do here is going to save the book or make it any better, you know. But I think in almost all cases, all the books benefit from going through, you know, the sort of the three-step process, in effect, isn't it? Going through, you know, taking out any turned over pages and rubbing out any pencil marks, then the brushing of the dust, and then finally the polish. It's an easy process really to follow, but it's just quite a job when you've got so much to do that's never been done. So I think I'm comfortable in saying that I've now done over half my collection of books on the channel, and that's taken about a year, and I always estimated that it would take perhaps 2 to 3 years to do the whole lot. So that's good. Now I'm going to throw this one out as well to you. So I'm looking after my mum's record collection. She's quite a big record collector in her day, and she's got a load of old sort of 50s and early 60s records, which I'm looking after for her, albums and singles and EPs. And I just wondered if it'd be the sort of thing you might fancy seeing me clean up on this channel, because there's a box and there's really good stuff on there. Lots of Elvis, Cliff Richard, the Everleys, Billy Fury, people from that era, sort of the rock and rollers. That's sort of what she was into. As if you'd like to see the records get cleaned, and there's like a good box of them, so I don't know how long it would take, but there's some very interesting books, records there. There's some collectible records as well, certainly some rarities in her collection, including Elvis's second ever album, which is super rare. Just let me know in the comments if it's something that you'd like to see. If you want it to be just purely books, it's fine. I'm going to put them up on the other channel instead, which is more, I guess, variety. But just let me know on that regard if you'd like to see those records and EPs and stuff cleaned up over here. fancy one, this, but he's on the upgrade list now, so brilliant. That's the first pile done. I just realised that pile we've just done was actually the second stack of 4. This was actually the first stack, so this is where we came in. But it's okay. They're all being cleaned in this video, and that's the main thing. And these particular ones are in quite an easy spot for me to get out from my main sort of pan collection. They're just on the sort of normal bookcases. Although I have to say, I bought so much pan, or so much pan has come my way in the last few years. I could really use an extra bookcase to house them all, because the old collection's expanded quite a bit. So I might have to look into that. Like any book collector, you've never really got enough shelf space, sadly. That seems to be true of every single collector that I know. Oh yeah, I wish I had more space, you know. I'm quite lucky in that I can, at least all my doubles and stuff that is like going to be ending up being sold. I've got some, just a handful of boxes now, because I've sold so much in the last year. Through the channel, on my other channel, I've had lots of, I've had 3 sales videos now, and they've all been really, really good. And some people have bought, a box load of books at a time. But I keep all my sort of doubles in the studio here with me in a pile of boxes, and that's at least I'm not doubling up with stuff in the house that way, So once they've been through and been checked, out here they come. And I don't list much on eBay anymore. I list a little bit, but not much. And that's because why give eBay all your fees and stuff, all your money, when I could just sell them through my channel here, from collector to collector, as it were. So that's sort of what I'm doing without using eBay as a middleman. And it's proved extremely popular. The stuff's been going out all over the world, so I can't complain. Now, I do get the odd comment when I'm doing the polishing, and someone said, "Oh, you missed a bit." Well, when you're doing this many books, I don't know how many here, I usually end up doing about 80 books per video, something like that. It's whatever fills up a comic box, 2 rows of a comic box. But yeah, occasionally I might miss the odd corner. But, don't worry, honestly, if it affects you with your OCD, I apologise, because it's not deliberate. But I think I'm usually pretty thorough with these things, but I do understand if I have left a bit out, it's not on purpose. It's not to, drive you around the twist or anything, because I wouldn't want to do that. It's just bad luck or bad show on my behalf, so sorry. It's not something that happens a lot, but it has, I think, happened in the past. For some reason I've got distracted or missed a particular bit of a book cover. Lots of very nice books this time round, I'm sure you'll agree. Some absolutely gorgeous ones. Eating the polish today. None of the spines have had particularly bad sort of smoking staining this time round, at least so far. Usually from this sort of period, late 50s, early 60s, when a lot more people smoked, you would have expected some of these books to have had a bit of smoked spine damage, but so far they've been, nothing so far, which is quite good, but also unusual. There we are. So that's the second pile done. Let's sort them out. And that's a couple of wedges to do. Right, last little batch. Starting with that great book on Arnhem. My dad was in the Paratroopers. Although he wasn't at Arnhem, he was not that old. But it was the first big sort of British paratrooper exercise, or military event, shall we say. Which sadly didn't go very well, but there you go. As is often the case with these videos, I slightly struggle to fit everything in and actually do the cleaning at the same time. But I try my best. gorgeous cover that is as well. Another really great one from Pef. He certainly seemed to be in his absolute prime around this sort of period, didn't he? By the look of it. You know, the quality of the covers were just the best. And it would be quite good to go through my collection and maybe pull out like all the Pef covers that I've got, for example, and do like a little bit of a retrospective of him on my other channel, if I can get the chance. I've got some other sort of Pan specific ones I'd like to do. I'm going to pull out all the Pan movie tie-ins that I've got, for example, of which there's quite a few tie-ins and adaptations. I could do the same for Penguin, although there's not that many, and there's not that many good ones. There's a few decent ones in Penguin, but not many. There's the Breakfast at Tiffany's is perhaps the best vintage film tie-in that Penguin had. But there's a few others as well, of course, but that's probably the best one. I think if you pull out all the Pan covers that Pef did, there's probably going to be a few hundred, isn't there? You know, because he was very prolific, and it wasn't just Pan. Of course, he did it for most of the main publishers. Had Pef in there, you know, on their books, as it were. I think, anyway. It's that lovely Agatha Christie jacket there. The only one actually this time round, wasn't it? And that is, yeah, really nice. I've had a few copies through my hands, so I've been able to keep a really nice one. But generally the Christies do go for good money, and a bit like the Saint books, they tend to have been read and reread lots of times, so they don't generally turn up in the absolute best of shape, which is a shame, but they do turn up, you know, so you just have to be patient. The thing to remember about these authors that you might struggle to get, particularly say someone like Agatha Christie, is although she's still popular today, she was incredibly popular back in the day when the books were published, so they had huge print runs, so ultimately they shouldn't be that difficult to find. It's a bit like the Star Wars collectors. They forget how popular the books were. This is one to bag out how popular the Star Wars figures were when they were first released. I mean, they were churning out millions a week around the world, so certain figures shouldn't be that hard to get. It's just a case of being patient. The problem is that there's more of a demand than there is a supply to meet that demand. So yeah, the demand is outstripping the supply, and because of that, we'll bag that one up in a minute, it's causing prices to go up. And I think that's what's happened with Christie, although I also believe that the prices have leveled off a little bit on her, because people have realised that the books are out there, and with a little bit of patience they will keep turning up again and again and again. It just depends if you want to be really patient and wait for tip-top examples, you know. So I've been lucky, I've been able to upgrade some of my Penguin Christies recently, and I've been pleased to be able to do that, because although they haven't got the beautiful covers like the Pan ones have, the editions themselves are particularly nice. And there's a batch of 10 which Christie herself chose to get printed as like an anniversary of the Collins Crime Club. So she chose 10 Christie titles, and each one had its own individual unique brand new introduction by Christie herself, and those ones are particularly nice. And I'd love to get, I've got most of them in pretty nice condition, but there's a couple, like all these things, that I wouldn't mind a better copy of. See, a true collector is never happy. Never a truer word has been spoken. But yeah, slightly longer video this time, but as I said, I did a full box of great Pans. And I'd say we are over halfway through the Pans in total now, which is good. That cannot be said for the Penguins, unfortunately. And I think once everything's been done, there'll be the final few videos will still be Penguin books that I'm going through. I have a suspicion. But I'm going to try and balance it as best as possible by putting other stuff in the meantime to keep things a bit more mixed up, you know. Right, so that was the one which we had in my little comic bag here. So I'm going to try and slide this one back in just until I get some of those purpose-built plastic cases I was telling you about, you know. I'll just keep that one nice for the time being. We'll keep Pef's signature safe rather. Right, so we've got one more little pile to do. And sadly, that's it for today's episode, but that's okay. I think we've seen some really good books today, and I've got you up to date on what's happening with the channel, which is good news. And as I say, it's all positive, so don't worry like that. As I said, the views are down on this one, but I do believe that, you know, YouTube is very much a roller coaster, and things will pick up. And potentially, I am going to have the month of April. I may only be able to knock out, I'll have time to knock out 2 videos that month rather than my 4. So I'll do, you know, it'll be a chance to sort of catch up really. So I'll do 2 break weeks and we'll see how we get on. But it may be, if the training isn't too intensive, you know, or I can do it around my sort of more part-time hours, then, you know, it'll be business as usual. But if not, certainly once my new training is over, everything will be back to its current schedule, which will be cool. And I, for one, will be happy. It's got a little bit of water rippling in there, that's why it's making such a noise. And in fact, one of the earlier ones had water ripple as well. But on the whole, it's absolutely fine. So until another one comes my way, I'm just going to be sort of happy with this one, you know. Apart from that, stonking copy of that one. Very, very nice indeed. I said this was a great period for Pan, it really was. Absolutely, they were in their element. And I think they were really being buoyed along by the incredible sales of the James Bond books. Which, of course, there would have been some in here, but we've already done those separately, and I keep all the Bond books separately, as well as the Pan Book of Horror Stories. So you won't see those on here. And the Pan Horror ones, I am actually actively working on completing that set and getting them in nice condition as well, because I'm not that far off having a set, but I am a bit of a way off having them all really nice condition. And they are quite collectible, and I refuse to pay sort of £16 for an issue of the Pan Book of Horror Stories when, once again, they sold very well, so they are out there. Just perhaps not in the greatest of condition, which is what I want them in. Those particular ones, you know. we've just about been able to survive on one sort of corner of this cloth, haven't we? But I think this is going to need another wash soon, before next week. So I was having a real job tracking down Mr. Sheen, my polish of choice, and when I last found some at the supermarket, the shelves are really like they've been devastated of Mr. Sheen. So I bought 4 cans of it. Thought, well, this will do, and I managed to get through a whole can since then, and this second can is almost done. So it just shows I've been doing quite a bit of cleaning. I started to say to my wife, I said, you say I don't do any cleaning. Well, I do, and I've got video evidence. Nah, she doesn't say that to me, but I'm just saying, if she ever did, she wouldn't have a leg to stand on. But there we are. So, last few books now. So I do hope you've enjoyed seeing this latest selection of great pans be cleaned up. I think you will agree there were some absolutely brilliant covers to admire this time round, and the usual mix of nice editions, and that odd signed one as well was pretty cool. I've certainly enjoyed going through them. I always do. Pan are by far one of my Pan and Penguin are my favourite publishers of all, so I'm never going to tire going through them. And these have certainly benefited from having a really good clean as well, you know. So don't forget, if you have enjoyed today's video, do please hit the like button. It only takes a moment, but it does let YouTube know that you've enjoyed this video, and it will let you know when my next one's due, which hopefully should be in 7 days. If you've not already, do of course please hit the subscribe button as well. The channel's growing slowly but surely, and it's all good. It all helps things out. And all being well, I shall be with you just next Saturday with the third part of those large format books. If you've not seen them yet, you go and check out the first 2 parts of them, because I think they're really great and they've got some really interesting sort of books there. Alright, yeah, that's it for today, and I shall see you again very soon. Bye.